coming out on top, 3 frames to 2, getting the point in the bag. Breaking off here against Tom Ford. Just on Jack Jones quickly, Phil, I knew he'd made a lot of century breaks in this event so far. I didn't realise he was already on 20. I think, should he do okay over the next couple of days here and possibly feature in another group, he's pretty much a certainty to break that record. What a performance it's been from Jack Jones in this event so far.
Yeah, and one of those 20 centuries was a 147. I think, in some respects, it might put a little pressure on him, and maybe that will be detrimental to his chances of actually winning a group, or indeed staying in the tournament. He's well aware that if he stays in for this group and one more, he probably will break the record. But if he finishes 6th or 7th in this group, well, the chances of a record will recede significantly.
And I must admit, I think I probably cost him about 3 or 4 centuries myself in one of the earlier groups, because he was getting close to 100 tons, and on 99 I made him aware of it in the players lounge, and I think he missed on 90 or 80 a couple of times after that. So yeah, apologies for that, Jack.
So poor old Matt Selt, he's lost his first match, and he could lose a very prized record. Now, Ford has got the advantage here in one respect. He has played on this table previously in this session, whereas Robertson was coming over from table 2. Be interested to get your verdict on this, Stephen. In the first match, Ford and Trump, the cushions were playing slowly. Is that still the case?
They look okay. I think, particularly in the earlier groups, I thought this table 1 was playing very much on the generous side, but there was a couple of shots that Judd played in his last match against Stuart Bingham where he was up very quickly, 2 blacks off spots in particular, and they were sort of gesticulating to one another at the end of the game as to what might have caused that. I don't know if there's maybe a slight drift or something. I'm not too sure. I didn't hear the conversation, but yeah, maybe they just haven't quite got it just right just yet. But of course, we do have a table fitter on site, and any of these little queries over the conditions, they can be rectified pretty quickly.
What?
I think from watching that shot, you'll know that the bed of the table is running quite swiftly. And as Ben Wollaston pointed out, quite often when you recover a table, that's what they've done for the start of this group.
3.
The cushions do play a little slowly, and then gradually they become up to their normal speed.
Yeah, you always know when you get your table recovered down the club or wherever it is you've got your table, the first couple of days you do just need to hit the ball that little bit harder if using the cushion. Sort of on this table, and of course on table 2, so that will sort itself out.
12.
Well, if the rankings are anything to go by, this should be a really close match. Ford is 19th, Robertson 20th.
Thanks.
I was so pleased to see Tom Ford go on and lift the shootout title just before Christmas. Been a dismal season for Tom. He couldn't buy a win. There was a lot going off the table. Of course, he very unfortunately lost his sponsor, Brian Todd, who sadly passed away, and there's just a lot going on for Tom. Snooker was probably not his priority, which is understandable. Winning that shootout has given him a big lift, and hopefully he can kick on from that.
Well, he's had a recent win over Neil Robertson. last 32 of the Scottish Open last month. And that's a shot he plays very well. I made this point in his previous match against Trump. That black off the spot with running side. Some players find that shot a lot simpler than others, and Ford is one of those who has got it down to a fine art.
Yeah, especially on these ultra slippy conditions, that little trace of running side on that shot, it's the unnatural side of the cue ball to strike. That particular instance, it was a right cut. You would tend to play that with a trace of left, and going right on the cue ball, it can often just cause a few problems for players. We saw Judd Trump, the world #1, miss that exact shot in the previous match.
37.
I agree, Tom plays that particularly well.
It's a very niche point, but I'll tell you another player who plays that shot superbly, Ricky Walden.
So very quickly, Tom looking to stamp his authority in this match. He's got the balls open perfectly for a quick kill in this opening frame. He's a very brisk player when he gets in. I like his rhythm and tempo around the table. He's a very, very heavy scorer as well.
50.
On the exhibition circuit, he's got the nickname Maximum Man because,
50.
of course, the players, in between professional tournaments, they go about and do exhibitions in club, and you can pretty much guarantee Tom will make a maximum. Although he did come to my club in Lincoln just before Christmas, and he missed the last black for a maximum.
Well over 200 147 breaks now made in professional competition. Ford made one of the most extraordinary, actually. We were up in Aberdeen for the Grand Prix, and it was a round-robin format early on, which didn't really work, but that's by and by. And basically,
70.
he was really ill. He was admitted to hospital with flu-like symptoms, and he actually discharged himself from hospital, feeling grotty, turned up and made a 147.
Well, something incredible has just happened there as well. He came round to have a look at that red, knowing that the pink would spot beneath it. He said, I just came round to have a look to make sure it pots into the left corner, and then for some reason played for it into the right corner.
80. $82. $88. Tom Ford, 88.
No century,
On
but an 88 break is more than sufficient for Tom Ford to draw first blood against his Australian opponent. Well, on table 2 right now, Jack Jones is lovely in amongst the balls, well placed to take a 1-0 lead over Joe O'Connor. The big question, can he make yet another century? We will keep you informed as and when he succeeds or fails.
Well, it's not very often you say this, but that was a big stroke of fortune from Neil Robertson. He's caught the knuckle of the middle pocket, but the fact that he didn't cannon the blue fuller meant that he left Tom Ford nothing. That was a big touch. Had that cue ball have stayed in the middle of the table, Tom had a very easy starter as he finds the corner pocket and pushes a red over another.
Now, did that cue ball just taper away from the cushion a little? He thought when he struck that he was going to hit the cushion, the side cushion that is, and have no issue. But it just seemed to drift away from the cushion slightly, enough to go in off. And that made a massive difference.
What?
Yeah, because the poor shot from Neil ultimately hasn't been very costly at all. 2 shots later, he's back at the table, nicely in amongst them.
Eight. No.
2 meetings previously in the Championship League for these 2 players. 1 win each. As for other head-to-heads, well, it's 4-2 in favour of Robertson.
60.
Now, that's a ball we didn't expect to be missed.
16.
Pleasant surprise for Ford, who gets back to the table relatively quickly.
I'll be looking at this cluster of reds beneath the pink and how best to attack it at some stage. The pink being off its spot and above the pack is causing slight problems for Tom in terms of
8.
gone a little far for the red to middle for comfort. May can use the pack of reds to screw off for the black. Yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, the shot that he played. He wasn't very happy about the black. Lost the cue ball, but as it happened, it turned out okay. Could use the pack of reds and just push that 1 red into play.
60.
This time taking the chance to play on that pink, in potting it. It will go onto the blue spot. It will still be pottable, but it just means that it's out of the way now in terms of direct access to the pack of reds.
23.
He's got the angle on this red to play back up for it now, and then it will be into the reds.
24.
See, what we've just seen from Tom there was a great example of a player coming to the table and thinking
30.
maybe 5, 6, even 7 shots ahead. He knew that he had 3 or 4 reds in open play, but his idea was to get the pink out the way as quickly as possible. Now, has he been unlucky with this split? Because he struck the reds beautifully.
Yeah, looking at a possible plant, he was scuppered by the last rolling red. Although the plant does look as though it might have come to his rescue. Well, that was a wholesale misjudgment.
Yeah, he's completely turned that one over. He looks confused, but he hit the first red too thick. I think how the reds were set to this right corner pocket, he just had to play the pot on the first red rather than hit it thicker to try and send it the other way. As you say, that was a huge misjudgment, Phil.
What? 7. Eight.
This season has been a lot better for Neil Robertson than last. The highlight, of course, winning the English Open. Overcame Wu Yiza 9-7 in the final.
6.
Went well ahead. Wu produced a storming comeback, but Robertson held on. So these days, if you win one tournament a season, you're doing well. But add to that,
20.
a quarter-final place in the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters, semi-final at the Champion of Champions, and last week he beat John Higgins from 5-1 down, 6-5, to make it to the quarter-final of the Masters, where he lost out to the eventual winner, Sean Murphy. So it's been an improvement from Robertson, but I think, Stephen, you would agree, by his standard, it's still not been vintage.
No, far from it. Player of Neil's class standards hasn't been past the last 16 of an event, which is an incredible stat as well. So two players that are just searching for a bit of form. Two players far too good to never find it again. Only a matter of time. But it just shows how tough this sport is.
He's a bit of a scatterbrain, is Neil Robertson. That's an understatement. And he got his dates mixed up for the World Open qualifiers, so he's not in that event next month, as he is completely flummoxed by that one.
38.
So next ranking event action for him. He plays Anthony Kowalski in the German Masters next week. Of course, he will be at the Welsh Open as well. So looking to make even bigger strides there as he pulls out the recovery.
39.
It's just such a Neil Robertson thing to do, that, isn't it? Miss your match because you've got your dates muddled up. I just cannot understand how that's possible.
39.
Well, the beneficiary was our pal Michael Holt, who had a very pleasing walkover. He wasn't going to say no.
But he's never had any form, Michael. He's never had any luck.
Stephen Hallworth dripping with sarcasm. Give the lad a break.
Well, Neil just came a little unstuck there from that previous pink. He got into the cue ball way too much, to his surprise as well. 29 points to the good. Just trying to...
Neil Robertson, 39.
Well, he would have liked to colour safe there for a bit of insurance. Not quite able to push the brown safe, but he's got a good cue ball.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
News from table 2. Jack Jones won the first frame against Joe O'Connor with a break of 70. from where he was, that's a very acceptable result.
Yeah, that's a brilliant safety shot from Tom. Always had the nice line to get the cue ball up into that corner and was concerned as to where the red ball would finish, but it's finished okay. Well, Neil was able to snip the red in and avoid the black, so okay, Tom got a good cue ball, but he left the possibility at a red for Neil. And a player of his class over that sort of distance, you don't expect him to miss many.
A little unfortunate not to kiss the blue slightly thicker, which would have held the cue ball. No attacking options, but he could place Ford in a lot of trouble here. Probably will.
Yeah, he's got options here, Neil. For me, the priority would be get a coloured ball safe, but he's got an absolutely guaranteed roll up behind the yellow. But for me, you've got to push a ball safe just for a little bit of insurance, because the players are so good that he's probably going to escape from the snooker.
Neil Robertson.
Well, he played the roll up and he's made an absolutely terrible job of it. Not only has he not got the snooker, but he's actually left the red for Tom Ford into the right corner pocket. Well, and he's knocked it in. What a huge mistake that could be from Neil Robertson. He laughs as he sits in his seat, and I can assure you that is a laugh of embarrassment. He's had a couple of shots in his mind there as to what to play, and in the end committed to absolutely none of them.
It's one of the things you see from professionals on a regular basis. Sometimes when it comes to what's the best way forward tactically, even the pros are prone to overthink. So what a turnaround in this frame. Ford arrives on the colours, 14 behind. He needs the lot, but they're all there.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Tom Ford. 16.
Well, I don't really know what to say about that one. Got absolutely nowhere near the pot, Tom. Looked like a huge deceleration, that. What a chance missed.
But Robertson unable to take advantage.
Well, this feels a bit nervy all of a sudden.
Two.
Oh, what a chance now. This is for Tom. This is the exact reason Neil needed to push a coloured ball safe. Even if he got the snooker in behind the yellow, you still fancied Tom to hit a red and not leave anything. If there was a colour safe, it just bought him another chance.
Slightly on the incorrect side of the blue, so had to leave a little more distance on the pink.
20.
No problem though. Ford has got the black to double his lead.
$27 on the franc.
In Neil Robertson's first match of the day, he led 2-0. This time it's a role reversal. It's Tom Ford who wins the first two frames. This table massively ahead of the other one.
Bomb.
And that brings in the possibility of a quick conclusion. Can Ford do it in one visit?
Another brilliant long red from Tom there. Okay, he was left it from the break off of Neil. It's that red that often pokes its head out. The players often knock in nowadays. Struck it to perfection and instantly navigates his way back down to the business end of the table, purposely playing on the red just above the black, because now he can land his cue ball on the black in such a way to give himself a free shot into the pack of reds, knowing he's got that one loose red to the right of the table. This is a good chance for Tom if this split goes right.
I asked Ben Wollaston the same question that I'm going to ask you now. When he won the shootout, he played it down saying it's not really a world ranking event. Well, I know exactly where he was coming from. I know the sentiment he was trying to convey. But the fact is, it is a world ranking event, and you can't take that away from him.
No, and that's it. You know, it's not his call as to whether it's a world ranking event or not. And look, admittedly, the majority of the tour would probably like to see the shootout as not a ranking event, but for whatever reason that the players have, sort of downplaying it. But when the history books are there to show what the players have won over their career, when Tom hangs his cue up, he's a ranking event winner, and that's as simple as it gets.
It was reminiscent of the mindset of Anthony McGill when he won the shootout. But it's still a fine achievement.
I think because the players look at that event as a lottery, which I don't believe it is. It's not a lottery. You know, you have to think in a certain way, perform in a certain way, and deal with that environment in a certain way. There isn't many players that can actually do that. Tom is one of them that can, and he has done it. So to say that it's a lottery is not for me. No one's ever won the shootout that hasn't been a steady player.
Getting to the semi-finals a big achievement, Stephen.
Well, I wasn't going to mention it, Phil.
27.
My views on the shootout, I've got no objection to it being a ranking event whatsoever. I think I would have if the prize money was significantly bigger.
28.
But first prize, 50,000. Doesn't make that much difference. And let's face it, it's 4 days of terrific entertainment. It's one of those tournaments you won't want to see 2 or 3 a year, but one, you look forward to it. And Ford will now look forward to making a frame and match winning break after that split.
Yeah, and just quickly on what you've said there, I actually would like to see the shootout 2 or 3 times a year, but if that was to be the case, then it shouldn't be a ranking tournament, in my opinion. If they staged a couple throughout the year at different venues, move it around the country or around Europe, wherever it may be, I think it would be a brilliant addition because it brings in a different sort of crowd, brings in new people to the game that may not be that accustomed to, you know, normal snooker. But if it ever went that way, it can't possibly be a ranking event.
So when it comes to a shootout crowd, they would have given him some stick for his positional shot onto the black, and then he would have brought the house down with his recovery. He was lucky to drop where he did, actually.
Yeah, and he held his hand up to Neil just to say sorry for that, because it was a little stroke for Tom there, but that's a terrible shot again. He's up very quickly. Okay, he can still pop this black, but he should not have been as low as this.
Just seemed a little off balance when he played it and maybe just dug into the white. But again, the recovery is faultless. One more crunch ball and he should be home and dry.
49.
Yeah, all things considered, and quite often with Tom, he'll never shy away from expressing his emotions out there and letting you know how he feels, but all things considered, this has been a really good performance from Tom. He's kept the breaks going when he's had to.
50.
And with that red finding its target, this is now looking like a formality.
57.
Quite a simple workout, it seems, for
65.
Now, is the pink blocking? I think he had to coax that one in with a touch of side, but now it's in. Ford very quickly has arrived at frame ball.
$72. $73.
What a big turning point in this match that last frame was. That shot on the yellow from Neil, failing to roll in behind it when he was pretty much a certainty to go one each on 60 points up.
81.
Just goes to show how quick these matches can turn around.
Yes, and then missing the yellow with the rest, which normally would not be a problem at all.
88. 89.
What a contrast for Robertson. That drawn-out 3-2 win over Matt Selt, and then this
95.
match over in a
90.
flash.
Brilliant
100.
clearance this potentially for Tom if he can mop up these remaining balls. A chance to just set a marker for the high break as well.
100.
By my count, that's only his 4th century of the season. Knocking big breaks in all the time. He's looking to just play his way back into form now.
112.
This has been a great match for him to win.
Yeah, you're right. It is only his 4th of the campaign. It's his 297th in professional competition, so maybe he'll arrive at a personal milestone during this group.
190.
Become a member of the 300 club.
$124.
It's a £500 highest break prize for the top run in every group.
130.
And 137 has got a chance.
$137 the frame and the match.
137 it is. And so Tom Ford, who began the match nicely with a break of 88, then wins the second on the black. It's a total clearance in the 3rd, and he defeats Neil Robertson by 3 frames to 0. So a real turnaround for Ford, who lost that opening contest 3-1 to Judd Trump.